I want to go over why I chose the TIF procedure or the combined TIF procedure for heartburn or reflux rather than the Nissen or the Toupet or the LINX or the Door or the Watson fundoplications. I guess first I'll criticize the other procedures and then I'll talk about the TIF. So the most common anti-reflux procedure is the Nissen fundoplication. The Nissen fundoplication, after I did my research, I could tell that it was overkill for my specific case because I don't have high-grade dysplasia and I'm not close to getting esophageal cancer. So I don't need an extreme amount of reflux control. So I didn't really think the Nissen would be appropriate for me considering how disruptive it is to the natural anatomy. There's a lot of side effects involved with the Nissen. It alters your anatomy substantially because the short gastric vessels have to be dissected, and there's a ligament that holds your fundus there that has to be dissected, and then it's wrapped around in a posterior fashion around the esophagus, 360 degrees. And what it does is it squeezes on the esophagus more than it would naturally otherwise. So what happens is you have problems with an inability with burping, inability to vomit, and you have increased stomach emptying, which causes other GI issues because the angle of your stomach is actually altered because you're losing the fundus and you're bringing over. So you get kind of a straight shot down as you consume food. It goes straight through your duodenum faster. So that's problematic. Also, the Nissen, it seems to break down with time, maybe 1% a year, although it is durable because you're sewing stomach to stomach, which is, it's not terrible, but it's overkill for my specific case. Next would be the Toupet fundoplication. It's not a 360-degree wrap. It's a 270-degree wrap. So people have a better ability to burp or vomit with the Toupet. But the Toupet has the same issue as the Nissen, in that you have to dissect the short gastric vessels and you have to dissect that ligament that holds the fundus into place. You lose the fundus. The fundus holds the gas. So you have problems again with gas bloat and increased rate of stomach emptying, which leads to other GI issues. Also, the Toupet is sutured to the esophagus, which seems to be slightly less secure than suturing stomach to stomach. Next would be the LINX. I definitely would not get the LINX. That seems to be one of the worst anti-reflux procedures to get. There's a lot of side effects involved with getting the LINX device. One is people are having issues with MRIs. People are having issues with the vagus nerve because when the LINX is installed, it has to pass beneath the vagus nerve, and then scar tissue wraps around that. You get irritation of the vagus nerve, and then you get pain innervating up into the collarbone, shoulder, and neck, and jaw, and ear. It just seems like a terrible procedure. I bought a LINX, and shortly after I bought it, I was opening it and closing it, and sure enough, the thing got stuck open. So I was wondering what would happen if a LINX got stuck open in my body. That would be terrible. There's no way to unstick it open unless somebody actually performed surgery on you, unless there's another way that I'm not aware of. So the LINX was a hard no for me. I definitely would not get the LINX. That seems to be just a terrible procedure for anti-reflux. I'm sure people have had great results, but this is definitely not for me. Some other options are anterior fundoplications, partial wraps. So you have the Door and the Watson fundoplication. The stomach gets wrapped around the front of the esophagus rather than behind the esophagus. And when the stomach is wrapped in front, it's better for the natural anatomy because one, sometimes the surgeon doesn't have to dissect the short gastric vessels, which is, by the way, is close to your spleen. You could get bleeding and everything like that. So it's best to leave that alone if you can. You get to keep your fundus and it's just wrapped around the front. But the problem with the Door, the Watson fundoplication is you only get maybe 180-degree wrap, maybe a little bit more. So you're not getting as good of reflux control. And the wrap might not be as secure there because the esophagus is pulled down maybe 4 centimeters deeper into the abdominal cavity, and that's attached maybe with a suture into the diaphragm from the esophagus. So it's just kind of in my opinion, it's kind of a wonky procedure for anti-reflux. I mean, it's not, I would still rather have that than a full Nissen for sure. But compared to the TIF, which I'm going to go into, the TIF procedure just seems a lot better than all these procedures, because the TIF procedure is secure. It seems to be secure, the TIF too, because for me, I had 6 fasteners placed at 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and 6 o'clock. So I'm at least at a 270-degree wrap, probably more, maybe 300, maybe even more than that. So I have a nice wrap that's more, it's going to give me better reflux control than just the typical Door or Watson anterior fundoplication. And I'm feeling much better. I'm not taking PPIs or anything like that. And I am getting some gas bloat, but I'm at least able to burp a little bit, which it feels really good to burp now. But I'm not burping 50 plus times a day like I was before. So it's working for me. And it's an anterior wrap. The thing about an anterior wrap is that your natural stomach fibers are arranged in an anterior fashion. So when the stomach is wrapped around in an anterior way, it's stretching the fibers, which is it's more favorable for the natural anatomy versus a posterior wrap, which is going to be more pushing on the fibers. And it's like it's like pushing on a noodle, a wet noodle. It just kind of compresses the fibers rather than stretching the fibers. So I feel like the wrap will be, it's more natural. It's better with the natural anatomy going with an anterior wrap. And also you get to preserve the short gastric vessels. You get to keep the fundus. You get to keep the ligament that holds it all into place. And revision, it could be tightened up again. It's easier to tighten up with an endoscopic procedure versus if a Toupet came undone or something like that. There's a lot of high quality real estate in that area. It's more difficult to redo the procedure. Now, specifically, the question of durability is important. And I am guessing that the TIF procedure has good durability, maybe the best durability out of any anti-reflux procedure, because what I read is a study that had a 5-year follow-up showing that the TIF procedure is durable at 5 years. And then there was a 9-year follow-up, and the 9-year follow-up showed arguably better results than the 5-year follow-up. So maybe some of those people who at 5 years actually improved after 5 years. So that to me seems good. If you could make it 5 years, then as far as I could tell, your odds of this procedure being very durable is very high. Versus in Nissen, we do see, and a Toupet, we do see these procedures break down maybe 1% at a rate of 1% a year, which adds up. If you're young, I'm in my 30s. By the time I'm 80, that's a 50% breakdown. I would have to have a redo procedure. With the TIF, I might not have to have a redo. My natural anatomy is preserved better with the TIF. So those are the reasons I had the TIF procedure. I'm doing well. Yes, I do have some side effects. I'll make other videos about that. But those are the reasons why I chose the TIF procedure rather than the Nissen, the Toupet, the anterior, and the LINX. So I hope this video is helpful. Any questions? Leave me a comment. Thanks.